for joining us for In Focus on ABC 10. I'm Trent Bailey. Last weekend, U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow was in Marquette to deliver the commencement speech at Northern Michigan University's spring graduation. And even though she had a busy schedule while she was in town, we were lucky enough to sit down and have a discussion with her at the Landmark Inn in downtown Marquette. Please enjoy this conversation with Senator Debbie Stabenow. All right, Senator Stabenow, thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure.
You're in town for commencement tomorrow at
Right.
Northern Michigan. You
Right.
want to talk about what it meant to be invited to come and talk there?
Well, I was very honored to have the opportunity to speak to all the graduates and family members. And, you know, I've been on both sides, you know, the graduate and the friends and the family, and I know how important a day it is. And Northern is a wonderful university. I've been working with faculty and with the administration for years, of course, at Northern. But the work that's being done on broadband, high-speed internet all across the UP is going to help transform quality of life for so many people, and so I love what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a big thing at Northern is their network that they have, and all the students get laptops that will go right into it and everything. I saw that you graduated from Michigan State University.
I did.
Is there anything from your commencement that you remember that you might want to use tomorrow?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Of course, similar colors, both green, Northern and Michigan State.
Right.
What I remember is I was excited and didn't want a commencement speaker to speak very long. So I think the most important thing is not to speak too long because this is their day. And they're excited and probably relieved and all the other feelings that come with that. And so I think it's all about the graduates.
Yeah, and is there anything that you have prepared that you really want them to take home about their future and what's around the corner here?
Well, you know, when we really think about their future in the world we're living in now, the most important thing we're dealing with is change all the time, right? In terms of, speaking of the internet and what's available on the internet and information, which is good but can also be bad. You know, the communications is good, but also it's an outlet for negative communication or bullying of people and so on. So I think when we look at the fact that we're all going to be involved in various kinds of jobs throughout our lives as graduates now, they probably won't be like their parents or grandparents staying in one job the whole time. They'll probably be in multiple jobs. They will see things change. And so the question is, how do you continue to learn? And also, how do you keep who you are in the midst of change? And so I want to talk about that because the most important thing is our values, what we care about, keeping the important things about family, friends, how we treat people, no matter what the circumstance is, in this world that is chaotic and changing all the time.
Right, and another thing, and this is kind of related but a little off topic, with student loan debt, and it's a huge issue right now.
Huge issue.
What do you see? I know we see that there are plans that other people around the country kind of say here and there, throw out things like the debt forgiveness and or a free higher education. What do you think is where we should go as a nation tackling this issue?
Well, I think that we should make a commitment to students if they do the right thing. And they go to school, that they should be able to walk out debt-free. And I think that can be a package of things, whether it's loan forgiveness, whether it's work-study while at school, whether it's more Pell Grants and more opportunities for scholarships and so on. I think we should make a commitment to students and that they're not going to walk out with a mound of debt that means they can't buy a house because they can't get a mortgage because of their debt, or that somehow they feel like they're going to be saddled for decades with debt, because we need them to get that education. And if they're willing to do that and do the hard work, I think we have to have a commitment to make sure that we're there as partners for them. So, I grew up downstate in Clare, a small town, and my dad was sick when I was in high school, and we didn't have a lot of money, but I was at the top of my class, and if it hadn't been for a scholarship, a tuition fee scholarship that I was able to get, I wouldn't have been able to go to Michigan State University. And that particular program isn't there anymore, and it should be.
Right.
So I am supportive of whatever is going to bring down those costs.
There's still more ahead with Senator Debbie Stabenow, and coming up, we talk about the Farm Bill and infrastructure. Stick around. Welcome back, and now more with Senator Debbie Stabenow. I want to switch subjects here a little bit.
Sure.
Last time we talked, it was before the midterms, and
Right.
congratulations on
Thank you.
winning. And a main focus that we talked about was the Farm Bill.
Yes.
Then, what has been going on with it now that it's been passed? And I imagine it's starting to get implemented around the country now
It is.
more. You want
It
to talk
is.
a little bit about where that's at right now?
Well, first of all, we passed it,
Yeah.
which was great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very few large bipartisan bills. This is a 5-year bill, and I work very closely with my Republican colleague who chairs the committee. I'm the ranking Democrat, and I was really proud of the fact that we not only got it passed, but the largest bipartisan vote ever. I think it was the largest bipartisan vote of anything that
Yeah.
passed. Rural development is a very important piece of that, and what that is it's basically the economic development arm for small towns and rural communities all around Michigan, all around the country. Every community in the UP qualifies for loans and grants, everything from fire engines, police vehicles, most probably the police vehicles that are here came through a rural development grant of some kind. Small business loans, housing loans, we see the health center expanded or mental health center facilities expanded as a result of rural development. The other thing that's very important is that for me, a real priority was expanding support for high-speed internet, broadband. So we did significant new resources, and that's something that connects with Northern and what they're doing.
Right.
Also telehealth, which is part of high-speed internet. I mean, you know, the distances create challenges, and we know that the hospital, the health center, others, the Jacobetti Center, telehealth is very, very important, and also being able to connect for education and so on. So we've expanded dollars for high-speed internet, and that's a real priority for me as well. And the final thing, particularly for the UP, is on forestry. A provision of mine to create research and development opportunities for large mass timber, large mass timber construction to be used more. Michigan State University is doing its first large multi-story building all out of wood.
Really?
And it's not only great to have it out of wood in terms of sustainability, but it actually holds carbon. It's great in terms of stopping carbon pollution. So our timber industries here in the UP, but also how do we use wood differently in a sustainable way, and that's a new part of the Farm Bill.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you about it, and it seemed like a really good thing.
Right.
And I do remember the bipartisanship of it was through the roof, and it's
Yes.
you should be very proud of that, and that it was a good bill.
Thank you.
Another thing that I know that you were at the White House talking about infrastructure
Yes,
recently, and it seems like this is something that both sides of the aisle kind of talk
Right.
about, but when it comes to actually putting the pen on the paper and doing something, heads are
Right.
knocking, and
Right.
it doesn't get done all the time.
Right.
What do you think is going to be like the next steps moving forward with an infrastructure bill that both sides of the aisle can get behind?
Well, this is incredibly important, and I know it's a top priority for the governor in Michigan, and Lord knows we need to focus on roads and bridges and water and sewer systems
Yeah.
and high-speed internet and
Yeah,
everything.
Michigan's ranked, I think, like a D
Terrible.
or something for infrastructure.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And then nationally, we know that if we do something big, and we're at a point now where we need to do what happened in the 50s with President Eisenhower when they did the interstate highway system and really, across the country and created jobs and economic development and so on. It's time now to do that next round of that on roads, bridges, updating water and sewer systems. I mean, I remember being over in Houghton with all the storms and the floods and the roads being ripped up, and we looked underneath and it was wood pipes.
Yeah.
It was logs that were hollowed out. And so we've got a long ways to go on water infrastructure in terms of water quality, plus internet access, et cetera. So I was very pleased to be part of this discussion with the White House, because I'm always willing to work with anybody to actually get things done. The challenge right now, of course, is always how to pay for that. And one of the things, unfortunately, that happened is that with the tax cut, the way it was structured and taking $1.5 trillion out of the economy, and $1.5 trillion, and most of that did not end up here in the UP or in most places in Michigan. It created a situation where now there's less of a willingness to do a large infrastructure bill, which is exactly the opposite of, I think, what should have happened. So everyone agrees it should be done. Now we have to figure out what that means in terms of paying for it, and I think we need to make a big priority creating middle-class jobs through rebuilding Michigan and rebuilding America.
Coming up, the senator discusses the SULOCs and the economy. That's next, right after the break. Welcome back, and now more with Senator Debbie Stabenow. Another thing that hits close to home, especially for Upers and the people in Michigan, are the SULOCs, and this is something that has gotten a decent amount of attention lately.
Yes.
You want to talk about where they're at on the plans of building the new lock and such there?
Well, it took way too long.
Yeah.
But I was pleased to step in as the senior senator a couple of years ago and be able to really tackle this, to be able to get this moving. So put in a bill, and I asked the congressman from the UP if he would like to put it in the House, and he said yes. So
yeah, Jack Bergman's been a big proponent of it as well.
So we basically had to get the Army Corps of Engineers reviewing this the right way so that they could really see the economic impact. You have to meet certain thresholds in order to be able to get a project done. And so we finally got them to do the right study and get that done.
Yeah.
Now we have the budget going. We've authorized the project. Now it's all about funding it. So we've got money in the budget. It's a 10-year project. I'd love to make it quicker, but it's a 10-year project. We're on track right now. And we do have the bipartisan coalition to get it done. So I'm optimistic for the first time that we're actually going to be able to see this get done.
And getting a new lock that size especially is going to help the economy a lot.
No question.
And because if the big one that's there now goes down, how much of an impact would that have on the economy?
Well, within 6 months, you'd be talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of lost revenue and jobs if that happened. And a lot of people think, well, that just is the Great Lakes. It's not really true, because the barges come in and then they will offload something on rail cars that then goes throughout the country. So this is really a national economic project, and that's one of the things we had to convince the Army Corps of. So we've been able to do that and show them the numbers. And you're right, I mean, this is a huge construction project. It'll create a lot of jobs. Right now they're in the engineering phase, but we're on target on the budget and the appropriations, which is good, and I'm going to stay all over this to make sure we can keep it moving.
Yeah, and I hope it happens. And when it comes to the economy, which this kind of was a good segue for it.
Right.
The economy right now, you hear a lot about how great the economy is, and if you look at a lot of stats, it does look pretty good, and it's definitely been better than it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago.
Certainly when the financial crash happened.
Yeah. But in Michigan, I don't think it's felt as much as other places. I mean, we're 31st in per capita income, 33rd in wages and benefits per capita, 38th in employment to population, and 56% of the jobs here out of the 4 point some million, 56% of them are making less than 37,000. What can be done, or what improvements can be made so that the great economy that we keep hearing about is actually going to be felt in places like this, or like in Wisconsin, where I know the dairy businesses are really hurting because of tariffs and the milk prices and stuff. What can be done to change this?
Well, first of all, we need to change some of the policies that are happening right now. I mean, one of the reasons I was not a supporter of the tax cut is that it went to way less than 1% of the public. So when you look now and they say the economy is doing well, yeah, Wall Street, if you're a major investor, if you're a big corporation, but at the same time they said that wages would go up by average $4,000 a year, and we're not seeing that. I mean, it just hasn't happened. In fact, what we've seen is some of the changes actually took away the ability if you're a construction worker to write off the cost of your tools or your mileage from one job to another. You know, this really was not good for middle-class families or working families. And so, so we've got to have a focus on actually improving wages, not just income for those at the top, not just the stock market. The same thing around the tariffs and so on. I mean, I'm all for getting tough with China, but there's a way to do that that doesn't hurt our dairy farmers in Michigan or in Wisconsin. And so I want to focus on the things that bring down costs for people. We talked about cost of college. That's a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Lifting wages, cost of prescription drugs. Number one driver in healthcare today, and one of the biggest, if not the biggest concern for people regarding healthcare is the cost of prescription drugs. So for me, the priority to lift up wages, bring down costs of education, bring down costs of prescription drugs, do an infrastructure bill that really does create middle-class jobs, close the loopholes taking jobs overseas, and really focus on middle-class families, working families. You know, we make things and grow things in Michigan. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's where I focus.
Yeah.
And we need to be focused not on a theory that really has never worked, which is you give to the top and it trickles down. And how many years have we heard that? And it doesn't trickle down.
Right.
So what I want to do is be giving it directly to working people and let it trickle up. I think that'd be a better plan.
There's still more ahead on In Focus. Stay tuned. Welcome back to In Focus on ABC 10. I'd once again like to thank the Senator for sitting down with us, as well as the folks at the Landmark for allowing us to use that space. We're going to use the rest of our time today to show the Senator's speech at NMU's graduation. Thanks for joining us, and have a good day.
Please welcome U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow as today's commencement speaker. Senator Stabenow.
Well, good morning. All right, go Wildcats. Okay, I am so happy to be here to share in this wonderful, wonderful day with all of you. And I want to first say thank you to President Fritz Erickson and all of those who work so hard every day to create a wonderful university and opportunities for all of you to learn and succeed. And Bob Mahoney, and NMU board chairman, and all the members of the Board of Trustees I know that work so hard. And again, congratulations to Mike Andary as distinguished faculty. Way to go, Mike. Congratulations to you. And I have to say also congratulations to Tristan Rees, this year's student commencement speaker, and you've heard about his credentials. All I can say, we are in good hands. This is a young man commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and I want to thank him and all of those who serve and have served. So congratulations, Tristan. Family members have been thanked, as you should, and friends. And in talking before the ceremony today, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of very proud parents and grandpas and grandmas and aunts and uncles. It's so great that you are here. Nobody gets to this day on their own. I know that today's graduates are very thankful for your patience, your love, and your support. And I know that all the family members and friends that are here today are very, very proud of you. Whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, however long you have been going to school to get to this point, you finally have become a proud alumni of Northern Michigan University, and it feels good, right? It's not just that you finished all of your classes and met all the requirements. No, being a graduate of NMU is more than that. For instance, being an NMU alumni proves that you are tough enough to survive winter in the UP and anywhere. But we know it can go till May, right? 2 days ago, I was getting out my snow boots to come. Being an NMU alumni proves that you are patient enough to put up with innovations and more renovations and still more renovations. And campus looks great, doesn't it? It really does. And being an NMU alumni proves that you are generous and open enough to embrace your fellow students as family, because I know what a close-knit campus this is. You've joined an elite group of more than 67,000 graduates. That includes renowned scientist Kathleen Weston, who worked on the polio vaccine, Steve Marucci and Lloyd Carr, and my personal favorite, Coach Tom Izzo. Let's hear it for another green school, come on. And Wildcats are leaders not only on the field and the court, but off. In fact, many of you are breaking barriers in professions even before you walk across the stage. I have read so many wonderful things about what you and other students are achieving. I just want to mention 3 folks that have come to my attention. I'm thinking of Sierra Gilman, a biology graduate student who was awarded a prestigious National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. Or Marissa Beckering, an international students and communication student who will spend a month in the Netherlands this summer as one of only 20 students accepted into the Keith Sharon Global Leaders Program from right here. Or accounting major Kiefer Edwards, whose business proposal, Glen Arbor Wines Private Label and Tasting Room, won this year's Big Pitch competition. Maybe Kiefer will have some available for us to taste after the ceremony. Whether your next goal is to teach 3rd graders how to love reading, provide world-class care for cancer patients, protect the health of our waters and our wilderness, design and build amazing buildings like this one, or continue your education, no matter where you go, the knowledge you've gained, the relationships you've made here at Northern Michigan University will help sustain you. This seems like a good time to consider some of the changes you're facing. First, the economy has certainly changed and continues to change. While your grandfather, grandmother, or mom or dad might have worked for the same company their entire career, you likely will not. Second, our climate is changing, becoming more chaotic and intense because of carbon pollution. We saw that in last year's deadly storms last summer, and in those 200 inches of snow you endured this year. We've got to come together and do something about that. Third, with the rise of social media and the loss of traditional media, it's getting harder and harder, frankly, to know what's real and what's fake. Fourth, the internet is not only changing the way we communicate, but the way we receive services, the way we learn, the way we conduct business on the farm, in town, which is why leadership and vision shown by this university in creating access to high-speed internet across the UP is so important. And I want to give a round of applause to NMU for all of the work we're doing. And finally, unfortunately, we're more divided politically in our country, as well as around the world, than we've been in a long time. And it really is true, we have so much more in common than we have in differences. If there's one word to describe the world today, I would choose volatile. The second one would be ever-changing. Of course, we've always had challenges and volatility. Just take a look at our history. I don't know if you've seen the hit musical Hamilton. Anyone seen Hamilton? Whoever thought we would see a rap musical about our first Secretary of the Treasury? Alexander Hamilton, one of our founding fathers, the face on the $10 bill in your wallet. One of the songs, among all the great songs in this musical, is entitled "The Room Where It Happens," which describes some of the volatility and the backroom negotiations that led to Washington, D.C. becoming our nation's capital. One of Alexander Hamilton's lines from this song that really stuck with me and may resonate with you, he said, "God, help and forgive me. I want to build something that's going to outlive me. I want to build something that's going to outlive me." We are so fortunate that he and the rest of our founding leaders built something that outlived them. A Constitution and a Bill of Rights and freedoms that are still our foundations today. So as I see it, we face three great challenges. You face three great challenges as well. First, how do you manage change and adapt to the challenges of our volatile world? Second, how do we maintain our personal values and priorities in a world that is constantly changing? And third, how do we, in the words of Hamilton, build something that's going to outlive us? Your education at Northern Michigan University can help you tackle each and every one of those challenges. Today isn't the end of your education. I know you've heard it before, but it's really true. This is the beginning of a lifetime of learning for each of you and each of us. The first job you have out of college will probably be different from the one that you have in 5 years. The career you begin will probably be different from the one you have in 20 years. To succeed, we must be willing to continually learn and evolve as the world changes and evolves around us. And it's important you're willing to take the risk of failing. That's okay. Everybody falls down. Everybody fails at some point. The real question is, when you fall down, will you get back up? And I hope you will. Which brings us to the second challenge. How do you remain true to yourself while all of this is going on? All the change, as the world around you is in constant flux. Our values, our beliefs, our faith, our closest relationships, these are the things that make us who we are, and I believe these are the things that are most important. As the world changes around us, we have to work harder than ever to keep these things central in our lives. So make sure you stay close to your family. Have dinner on a regular basis, not just today. Be a good friend in good times and bad, and keep in touch in person, not just text or Snapchat. Did a teacher or a coach really make a difference in your life? Make sure you let them know how much they mean to you and the difference that they've made. Value kindness and patience. Be courageous and stand up for the people and the ideas you believe in. That allows you to stay who you are. In short, live your life based on your values and value the people around you. Now, the third challenge, how do we build something that's going to outlive us? Not all of us can be Alexander Hamilton and have a hit musical written 211 years after we're gone. But all of us can build something that will be here after we're gone. For some of us, that might be advancing knowledge through scientific research. Maybe you'll launch a business that will revitalize the main street in the town where you grew up. Some of you might literally build something, a new type of electric vehicle or hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, or maybe a building that uses wood entirely in a new way. You might be creating Michigan's next generation of leaders through teaching and mentoring young people, letting them know that someone cares about them. You may be in the crowd here one day, cheering as your child or grandchild graduates from Northern Michigan University, and know that you helped make that happen. And I hope you will be engaged in your community and in making our democracy stronger. We need you. This is not the time to turn away. It's the time to engage. Maybe you'll be in the room where it happens. The room where critical issues affecting all of us are discussed and problems are worked on to be solved. I hope so. We need your ideas, your passion, and your involvement at this critical point in our country and in our world. You know, it's never too early to think about a legacy. What do you want yours to be? So my advice today is really pretty simple. Keep learning, keep grounded, believe in yourself, and do something to make your community and our world a better place. As Alexander Hamilton sings in the opening number, "There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait, just you wait." I know that I speak for everybody here under this dome when I say, I can't wait to see what you will become and what you will achieve. Congratulations to each and every one of you.